Hey everybody, we're back with you right now on the Emergency Management Associates Network on our tablet this time because I don't believe we're going to have any problems with this broadcast on our tablet tonight. I appreciate you guys trying to help me with our broadcast from our computer, and it looked like it was going to work, and then all of a sudden it doubled down and decided it wasn't going to work at all. But we're back. We're back with you. As soon as I am able to see some of you back in chat, we'll get going with the program again. Okay? I appreciate all of you being here with us. Got the video up here. As soon as I see more of you here in the chat, we'll get going. I'm Ron Tyler. I'm the president of Emergency Management Associates. I've been doing this broadcast over 5 years now, talking about earthquakes and all other kinds of natural and man-made disasters and earthquakes, everything. We've been talking about the worldwide earthquakes, the hurricanes. We've been talking about shootings, explosions, bridges going down, all kinds of things throughout the years. I'm going to continue doing that as long as I possibly can. But folks, this is important. The work that we're doing here is vital, because it is vital because there is so much going on. And what is going on is affecting a great many people. Thousands and even millions of people worldwide. Okay? That's why we're here. That is exactly why we're here. Now, folks, around the world there are not that many earthquakes to even talk about. Yes, there are some large earthquakes down in Indonesia. There is one such earthquake over in Papua New Guinea today. It's a 5.4 earthquake. A 5.4 earthquake. However, this particular earthquake, unlike others that we talked about in the past, the 5.4 earthquake is 84 kilometers north of Papua New Guinea out in the ocean. So that particular earthquake is not going to do much of anything out in the ocean because the ocean waters absorb the shock waves of that quake. Yes, there are tremors, there are small earthquakes, and there are also moderate earthquakes all around the world. But USGS is not even touching on it. They're not even touching on it. We have moderate earthquakes over on the east or west coast, all over the place. As I said in the previous broadcast a few minutes ago while we were live on the computer, I went and pulled information from the Pneumatic Fault. Why? Because, folks, the Pneumatic Fault is moving. And it's moving to a great extent. I want to show you what is going on there. Because people that are living up and down the whole fault zone in the Pneumatic Fault are going to be blown away. I believe within the next 5 years, we're going to have a major earthquake on the Pneumatic Fault. That major earthquake on the Pneumatic Fault is probably going to be a 7.0 to an 8.0 major earthquake within the next 5 years. And I'm going to show you why starting right now. Look at this, folks. This is at Little Rock, Arkansas today. This morning. Okay? 3:20 a.m. this morning. 3:20 a.m. this morning, right here. Okay? Let me get my pointing device so you don't have to look at my big finger. Right here. This is a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake right here. We had a tiny tremor before that. After the 2.2, 2.3 earthquake, all of a sudden we had some more tremors right here. Then all of a sudden we came right into a 3.0 earthquake. It wasn't just one, it was multiple earthquakes. Okay? Multiple small earthquakes right here. Then, after that earthquake hit, we had like 45 seconds here, a full minute here, a full minute here, and a full minute here of secondary waves. Almost 4 minutes of secondary waves. That means this earthquake was larger than they're showing it here. This earthquake is larger than they're showing it here. Right here, it should be a 3.0 earthquake. Because of the secondary wave lasting so long out here, for nearly 4 minutes, this earthquake was probably closer to a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake here at Little Rock, Arkansas today. Now, I verified it. There was shaking there. There was shaking there. USGS does not have this on the map. Little Rock, Arkansas, guys. Little Rock, Arkansas. I want to go over to well, I talked about Marston, Missouri here. Look at this. Marston, Missouri here. Look what we have here. Unlike Little Rock, we have this. Okay? We had at least 2 3.2 earthquakes here. Right here, back to back. Then the seismic activity died down almost for a full minute to tremors again. 1.1, 1.2 tremors. That lasted another minute. Then all of a sudden, the earthquake started up again. But this time it was not as strong. The strongest earthquake here was probably close to a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. But this seismic energy lasted a great long time. Okay? The secondary quake right here lasted 2 minutes long, which makes me believe that this earthquake was not even a 2.8, 2.9. It was maybe a 3.2, 3.3 earthquake here. And this definitely was at least a 3.2 earthquake here. Marston, Missouri, in the center of the New Madrid Fault. USGS did not even show this, did they? It's not on the map. What is on the map is over in Ridgely, Tennessee. Right here. This is this afternoon. Okay? Look at this afternoon. Up at the top of this seismogram here, it is 12 noon right here, over here on the left. We had a bunch of minor tremors all during this 12 to 12:15 time period here. Here we had 2.0 earthquakes over here on the right. 2.0 earthquake here. Another 2.0, several 2.0s right here. The seismic energy died down here at 2:15, 2:16, even 2:17. Then it went to tremors again. At 12:30, it took tremors all the way up to 2.0 earthquake here. And you can see these here. Here's a 2.8 earthquake here. Look what happened. Look what happened. I want to come down here. Over here on the left-hand side, this would be 3 p.m., 1500 hours. Yes, we had seismic energy all through this time after 3 p.m. But what happened over here on the right-hand side? On this black line. Folks, the top of this earthquake was cut off, and we cannot see the bottom of it. Folks, I believe this earthquake at Ridgely, Tennessee was actually a 4.0 earthquake. USGS only showed on the map at Ridgely, Tennessee, a 3.8. This earthquake lasted a long time. This earthquake started out at 3:13 right here. 3:13 hours here. It came over here as well. Okay? This red line is 3:15. This earthquake continued until approximately 3:15 and 30 seconds. This earthquake lasted 3 minutes. This 4.0 earthquake lasted 3 minutes. It was not a 2.8. It was not a 3.8. I believe it was probably closer to a 4.0, 4.2 earthquake. A few minutes later, the seismic energy kicked up again. Right here in this area here, right here, we have seismic energy kicking up here. I believe it probably was another 4.0 earthquake here. And you can see the seismic energy kicking up here. The ones I'm really concerned about are where they top the top of it off. Here, here, and over here. They topped it off. Here on this green line here after 5 p.m. They bottomed this one off, which means they cut off the top of it as well. Seismic energy hitting Ridgely, Tennessee today. A lot of energy. These are full-blown earthquakes, moderate earthquakes, not 2.0s, not 2.5s. USGS said it was a 3.8, and I believe it was larger than that, at least a 4.2 earthquake, maybe larger. At Ridgely, Tennessee. Ridgely, Tennessee, guys, let me show you this morning here. This is this morning. This earthquake here, it started off at 3:19 a.m. this morning. The top of it is cut off. The bottom of it is also cut off. Again, this is much larger than what they're showing it here. Probably over a 4.0, 4.5 earthquake, at least, right here. The top of it's cut off and the bottom of it's cut off here. It's a very strong earthquake. It also has a secondary wave here. Look at this. The secondary wave lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. Possibly even longer to 7 minutes here. That was a strong quake. This is not maybe a 3.2, 3.3, but USGS had the earthquake at Ridgely, Tennessee being a 3.8. But it wasn't just one earthquake, as they're saying it is. It's multiple earthquakes, 3.8 to 4.5 probably. Okay? Down here, this is after 5:38 this morning. Actually not 38, about 5:34 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here. We have seismic energy here. Most of this is just tremors. It's all tremors. Even over here we have tremors. 1.5, 1.6 tremor here. 1.5, 1.6 tremor here. But this is an earthquake here. Right here, this is an earthquake. It's at least a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake right here. I showed you what happened at Ridgely, Tennessee this afternoon. Okay? Multiple earthquakes, multiple strong earthquakes in Ridgely, Tennessee today. And Ridgely is not the only one. Let me show you Tiptonville, Tennessee this morning. Look at this. Again, we're having earthquakes here. This is after 3:20, 3:21 this morning. It starts off over here on the left-hand side as being 3:15, 3:16, 17, 18, 19. Right before 3:20 this morning, we get to be here. This is a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake right here. Then 1 minute later, we have another 3.0 earthquake here. Then we have secondary waves after that, lasting another 2 minutes, maybe a little longer than that. So small earthquakes right here. Then we have a bunch of tremors, don't we? Then we kick it into higher gear here. Over on the left-hand side, this would be 8:15 this morning. Over here, this is getting to be 8:19, 8:20 a.m. this morning right here. 3.0 earthquakes. And tremors the rest of this time here. Tiptonville, Tennessee. Again, Tiptonville, Tennessee is a prison with a seismograph there. Let me show you Tiptonville this afternoon. Look at this. This is 12 noon right here. Again, we come over here to the right and we see this kind of activity here. Okay? 2.0 earthquakes. 2.0 earthquakes here. Probably a 2.7, 2.8 here. 2.3, 2.4 here. And then it kicks into high gear here. Look at that. This is huge in Tennessee. Paul Grundy's asking what it's from. These are earthquakes. These are earthquakes on the east side of the New Madrid Fault. Earthquakes at Tiptonville, Tennessee, right here. Just a couple minutes ago, I showed you Ridgely, Tennessee. Incredible earthquakes. All over the New Madrid Fault. Literally. All over the New Madrid Fault. Now, I told you that Missouri was the center of the New Madrid Fault, didn't I? Well, guess what? There are plenty of earthquakes in Missouri. Plenty of earthquakes in Missouri. I want to go over to Marston, Missouri, like I told you about a minute ago. Look at this. Okay? Again, this is after 3:15 a.m. right here. Over here it would be 3:15. We go 16, 17, 18, 19, almost 3:20 a.m. this morning, and we have a 3.3, 3.4 earthquake right here. Then the seismic energy goes down, and here we have a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Then it goes up nearly to 3.0 again, and then we have the secondary wave here. Okay? Marston, Missouri, the center of the New Madrid Fault. But it doesn't stop there. It absolutely doesn't start there. Or stop. Let me, again, take you up to Bloomington, Indiana. I want to show you this. This is up north. This is just south of the Great Lakes. Look at this, guys. Okay, this is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. Tremors here. This happened after 4:15 this morning. Over here on the left-hand side, this is 4:15. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this is 4:20 this morning. Then this 2.7, 2.8 simmers down to be tremors again, and then kicks up again right here. I believe this earthquake here is again a 2.7, 2.8 quake. Then we have another secondary wave here, off to the side of that. It goes out 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes later. This is probably a 3.2, 3.3 earthquake here. Okay? Then the rest of the, before all these earthquakes happen here, we have tremors. Microquakes and minor tremors here. And again, microquakes and minor tremors down here. Then we have a time where the seismologists turned off the seismograph. They turned off the seismograph. They first turned it off right here. Okay? This is after 10:30 this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10:36 this morning. They turned it off. They turned it back on right here. Okay? Over on the left here, this would have been 10:45. They kept it off until 10:47. They turned it on for 2.5 minutes and turned it off again. They kept it off here. This is 11 o'clock this morning. They kept it off until 11:01, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost 11:06 this morning, they turned the seismograph back on. Why did they turn it off? What are they hiding by turning the seismograph off? All we were showing here are microquakes. Yes, we had a larger, small earthquake here. But why did they turn it off here? Was there other earthquake activity here that they did not want us to see? That's sure what it seems like they're doing, or what they did this morning. Okay? That was Bloomington, Indiana this morning. Incredible. Incredible. Let's go back to Missouri. Barker Cemetery, Missouri. Again, the center of the pneumatic fault. What are we having here? More earthquakes here in Missouri, aren't we? Okay. I believe this earthquake is the same earthquake we showed you a few minutes ago at Morrison, Missouri. Okay? That earthquake was picked up here at Barker Cemetery. Notice we have more earthquakes though. Over here, after 7 a.m. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7:05 a.m. This is a 3.3, 3.4 earthquake right here. Okay? Then we have a bunch of tremors here. This, folks, is after 6:04 a.m. here. This is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. Minor earthquake. This is a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake here. Minor earthquake. A minor earthquake here, probably 2.3. Maybe 2.4. Here is a 2.5, 2.6 earthquake here. Right here, this is a 2.8, 2.9, pushing a 3.0 earthquake here. All this seismic energy this morning at Barker Cemetery, Missouri. It's not all, folks, there's more. Let's show you Barker Cemetery this afternoon. Look, the tremors continued. Right here we have probably a 2.3 earthquake here, minor earthquake. Minor earthquake right here. This is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. 2.7 earthquake here, minor earthquakes. All of these others are 2.0 earthquakes at best. Okay, minor earthquakes this afternoon at Barker Cemetery. Again, the center of the pneumatic fault. Then let's take it one more place. Let's go over to Pemiscot Bayou, Missouri. Pemiscot Bayou. Look at this, guys. This is big time. Okay? This is really big time. Let me get a drink of water. Folks, the top of this seismic sequence was cut off. The bottom of it was also cut off. This was at least a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake here at Pemiscot, Bayou, Missouri. Okay? A moderate earthquake. I believe this was a moderate earthquake here. USGS did not tell us about this earthquake on the USGS map. This earthquake lasted a full minute. Then it became a lesser quake here. This is probably a 3.0 earthquake right here. Then it became a lesser of a quake here. This is a secondary wave all the way out here. 1, 2, 3 minutes of secondary wave. Maybe 3.5. This is decent. Pemiscot, Bayou, Missouri is right along the New Madrid Fault. Right smack dab on the New Madrid Fault. Pemiscot, Bayou is on the Mississippi River. Okay? That's what happened there. You can see other tremors all throughout the day here. A large, long tremor sequence here. The tremor sequence never got past a 1.3 tremor, however. But it was a long tremor sequence here. Okay? Probably close to 6-minute tremor sequence. Okay? Pemiscot, Bayou. How about this afternoon? Look at this. No, we did not have any more earthquakes at Pemiscot, Bayou, but we had long duration tremor activity here. Okay? Good old Pemiscot, Bayou, right on the Mississippi River, literally. Then we go over to Porteville, Missouri, just a slight bit to the west. What do you think we got going this morning? Porteville, Missouri. Look at this. 1:15 this morning. We start off as good-sized tremor activity. 1.5, 1.7, 1.8 tremors, going up into a 2.0 earthquake right here. Then busting out all over the place to over a 3.0 earthquake here. At least a 3.5, possibly a 4.0 earthquake right here. This earthquake lasted 2 full minutes. Start off here at 1:16 a.m. this morning, actually 1:15 with tremors. Then it came over here to full-blown earthquake status for a minute and a half. Then we had secondary quakes, probably 3.0 earthquakes right here. All the way out here to a secondary wave here, and that secondary wave lasted all the way out here. Nearly 4 minutes secondary wave. Then after 3:19 a.m. this morning, we had another seismic sequence. A good-sized earthquake. At least 3.4, 3.5 earthquakes right here. Back to back. Then we have a rather long secondary wave sequence here. The secondary wave here lasted over a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Down here, this is after 8 a.m. this morning. 8:03 a.m. this morning, we have 2.9, 3.0 earthquake here. Porteville, Missouri. Porteville, Missouri, guys. Down here. This is about 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10:07 a.m. Another 3.0 earthquake here. And nothing but tremors after that, before that. Do you understand what I'm talking about now? These are good-sized earthquakes. These are very, good sized earthquakes. Okay? Porteville, Missouri. Guess what? It's not all, folks, there's more. Look at this. Tremors here. Here we have a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. We have a 3.0 earthquake here at 2:02 p.m. this afternoon. Then we have tremors and minor earthquakes here. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here, minor quake. But here we get into 3.0 activity again. This small activity may have been larger because I believe the top of this seismic sequence was also trimmed off as well as the bottom of it, lasting 3 minutes long. Probably 3.5 earthquake. This is a 3.5 earthquake here. This happened after 3:45 here. 3:46, 3:47, 48, 49, 50, 3:51 here. It finally kicked into high gear at 3:52 this afternoon. Continued for 3 minutes here. Over here, on the left-hand side, this would have been 4:30 here. Over here, that's a different story. 4:56, or not 4:56, 4:43 p.m. this afternoon. Right here. 4:30, actually not 4:30, 4:43 p.m. this afternoon here. Kicking into high gear. At least 3.5 to 4.0 earthquake here. It became less here, even down to 3.0 here. Seismic sequences going crazy, guys. If we're having 3.0, 3.5, even 4.0 earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault now, what is going to happen in the next few months? We've seen a substantial seismic wave here. A substantial seismic wave increase over the past 2 months here on the New Madrid Fault. How much longer is it going to take to have a major earthquake here on the New Madrid Fault? Anybody venture a guess how long it's going to take to have that major earthquake here? Do you have ideas? Do you have any ideas how long it's going to take to have a major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault? We're seeing it, aren't we? Yes, we are absolutely seeing it now. But folks, it's not the only thing going on. It's not. St. John's Bayou, Missouri here. Right here. It's moving. And it's moving in a big way. St. John's Bayou here is at least a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake here. Starting after 3:16, 17, 18, 19, right before 3:20 p.m. here. The top is cut off, the bottom is cut off. A minute and a half of seismic energy cut off. Probably close to 4.0 earthquake here. Just after 3:06 or 3:05 this morning. And then again, look at the tremors here and 2.0 earthquakes here. Folks, we're having good-sized earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. All over the New Madrid Fault. Does everybody understand what we're talking about here? Richard Smith says the earth is very angry. Richard, I have to agree with you. I most definitely have to agree with you. Let's go look at Mississippi. I want to show you guys this. This is Vicksburg, Mississippi. This is just on the east side of the New Madrid Fault. This is tremor activity. Long duration tremor activity. Each line here, in each individual line here, top to bottom is 15 minutes long. Right here, this is 10 minutes of minor tremors. 10 minutes of minor tremors and occasionally other tremors here. Vicksburg, Mississippi. Incredible. Really incredible. Folks, it's all over. I want to go now over to the East Coast. I want to go over to Erie, Pennsylvania. We talked about how the Atlantic fault is expanding from the center of the Atlantic Ocean. This is Erie, Pennsylvania this morning. Over on the left-hand side here, it'd be 4:15. All the way over here, now we are after 4:25 a.m. this morning. This is tremor activity. Tremor activity. You see more tremor activity here. This is on the East Coast. Why? Because the middle of the Atlantic Ocean is expanding. The mid-Atlantic plate is expanding. It's pushing the North American plate, Canada, the United States and Mexico in a south-southwesterly direction. Interesting, huh? Let me show you something else. Okay? How about Grandfather Mountain, North Carolina? This is just west of where I live. The same thing here. The exact same thing here in Morganton, North Carolina. Okay? Tremor activity. 1.4, 1.5 tremors here. It's happening, guys. It's happening. Now, I'm not showing, and I did not go after all the earthquakes up and down the East Coast, because I wanted to show you what's going on in Pennsylvania. It's happening also in New York. It's happening also in Virginia, West Virginia, all over North Carolina where I live. We have 5 different seismographs here in North Carolina. It's happening. We are having earthquakes and tremors all over the area, all the way down through South Carolina and even over into Georgia. Paul Grundy is asking, where did you get these charts from, my dude? Paul, number one, you want to never, ever put capital letters to put on your chat. It's okay to have one capital letter per sentence. Your chat was removed because your chat was all capital letters. Where did I get these charts? From the University of Tennessee. The University of Tennessee supplied these seismographs. They're true. They're true and honest seismographs, guys. I show this all the time. I show this activity all the time. Paul Grundy says he said sorry. Paul, we're going to give you another chance here. We timed you out for another 5 minutes. Folks, earthquakes are happening. Willie Digg is asking Massachusetts, ? They're even happening in Massachusetts. A couple of years ago, there was a very strong earthquake in Massachusetts. It was a 5.2 large earthquake in Massachusetts, in Boston. What did we find out there? Boston happens to have a volcano. Boston happens to have a volcano, and that volcano caused that 5.2 earthquake. Okay? Unreal. Unreal. And Tony says, no yelling at all? Well, stop using capital letters. Stop using capital letters. You do it again and you'll be removed from this channel. Okay? YouTube looks at those capital letters and says, oh, that's yelling. If we don't do something about it, YouTube will. And YouTube will take us off YouTube. Not going to happen. Paul Grundy's asking, what about Yellowstone? Folks, don't worry about Yellowstone. Don't worry about Yellowstone. Yellowstone is only having tremors at best. Yellowstone is not having 2.0 earthquakes, although occasionally they do. We don't have to worry about Yellowstone erupting. It's not going to happen for a very long time. Why am I saying that? Because we've seen very strong earthquakes in Yellowstone. Back in 1959, there was a 7.1 earthquake that they've now said may have been closer to an 8.0 earthquake over in Yellowstone, west of West Yellowstone. Okay? At a lake. At a lake. A cabin fell down a mountain, slid into the lake. The highway that was right next to the lake fell into the lake. Okay? Incredible. That was at a 7.1. I know all about it because my family has property over there. I've kept close tabs on what's going on in Yellowstone. I still do. Southeast of Yellowstone, south of Teton area, Teton National Park, my family also has property there. A lot of property. Okay? I keep tabs on it. I know exactly what's going on. Adventuring Mike just gave us a $2 super chat. Thank you, Adventuring Mike. We really appreciate it. God bless you for that. It means a lot. It helps us keep the lights on here, by the way. Okay? When I first started doing this channel, back over 5 years ago, I didn't realize it would cost money to keep doing it. Our bills keep going up. The bandwidth alone to do this channel costs us $100 a month, just for the bandwidth. That's not television. That's just internet bandwidth. Yes, we do pay for cable to have television here. We also pay a hefty bill for electricity here. It costs money to keep this channel going. Okay? This is just one tremor in North Carolina. There were other earthquakes here in North Carolina today. I will be talking about those earthquakes probably tomorrow, maybe into next week. Okay? I will probably be talking about those next week. I want to go over to the Cascadia area, over to the Pacific Northwest. Now, what has happened today in the Pacific Northwest? I'm going to bring up the USGS map here in just a minute. Yes, folks, we've had earthquakes. We have had earthquakes today over in the Pacific Northwest, in the Cascadia Subduction Zone region. The Cascadia Subduction Zone region, guys. Let's look at the USGS map for a minute here. Okay? Let's go over here to the Pacific Northwest. Just off the coast of Oregon. we have another 2.7 earthquake here. Earlier this week, we had a 3.5 earthquake, nearly this exact same spot, just northeast of the Blanco fracture zone. This this perpendicular line right here, running from the southeast to the northwest here, this is called the Blanco fracture zone. The Blanco fracture zone. This earthquake is a 2.7 minor earthquake off the coast of Bend in Oregon on the Blanco fracture zone. Over here we have this almost straight line here that runs from here in Northern California all the way up here to Queen Charlotte Island here. This is called the Cascadia subduction zone. The Cascadia subduction zone. Down south here, we have two earthquakes I want to identify here. This earthquake here is a 1.6 tremor here. A 1.6 tremor. Let me zoom in here so you have a better idea what's going on here. This is a 1.6 tremor, approximately 8 kilometers, 4 miles northeast of Petrolia, California. However, we also have this earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault. Fascinating. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault. Fascinating. Most people don't even realize that the San Andreas Fault goes this far north. Most people know the San Andreas Fault for San Francisco and Southern California, but it runs all the way up here and it connects with the Cascadia subduction zone here. This is called the triple junction. This is called the triple junction. East of this triple junction over here, we have the Mendocino Fault here. The Mendocino Fault goes far inland here. But over here, we have the San Andreas Fault, we have the Cascadia subduction zone here, and over here we have the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment runs about 275 miles from the coast of California out here into the Pacific. And it goes far out here. It goes way far out here into the Pacific Ocean. It also heads up later to Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. But over here we have another fault here. The Gorda Escarpment connects with what they call the Gorda Ridge here. This is the Gorda Ridge. Okay? The Gorda Ridge reaches up from the Cascadia, the Gorda Escarpment down here. The Gorda Ridge reaches up here to the Blanco fracture zone. The Blanco fracture zone reaches here from southeast to northwest here, where it hooks up with the Juan de Fuca Fault. This is the Juan de Fuca Fault here. Why are we even talking about this? Because, folks, the last time we had an earthquake here was over 340 years ago. 340 years ago. Right here we have Seattle. Right here where you see my cursor, we have Seattle, Washington. Okay? And the Puget Sound area. Here we have the Strait of Juan de Fuca here, that comes out of the Pacific Ocean here and goes over here, Seattle, Tacoma area, and the Puget Sound. 340 plus years ago, we had a very strong earthquake, a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that struck here at either the Cascadia subduction zone or over here at the Juan de Fuca Fault, possibly right between these fault zones. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Scientists are now telling us, folks, what's going on. They're telling us that we are going to have a major earthquake again up here in the Cascadia subduction zone region. The Cascadia subduction zone region. This is the entire region right here from Queen Charlotte Island south here to Northern California. The Cascadia subduction zone region. We are going to have another major earthquake up here. We believe it's going to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. Okay? That major earthquake is going to hit here in the Pacific Northwest within the next 5 to 10 years. Demon Catman told somebody that you cannot post websites without my approval, or talk about another web creator without my approval. If you want to post other channels here, you have to get my approval first. Okay? Now, why are we saying this? Why are we even bothering saying this? Christine says these sites give life-saving information. That's why I'm here. That is exactly why I am here, Christine, is to give life-saving information. That's what I do. Okay? You cannot post other sites without my permission. YouTube doesn't like it, and I don't like it either. There are also people that post naughty sites here. That is the other reason we don't allow anybody to post any other websites here on our chat. It's not going to happen. Okay? Not going to happen. Now, if you have any complaints about that or want to discuss it, send me an email and maybe even send me your telephone number so we can talk about it. I have no problem doing that. Folks, I am a subject matter expert when it comes to earthquakes and personal preparedness. I am considered a subject matter expert, not just in my own mind, but many other people. I have traveled 39 states here in the U.S., talking about not just earthquakes, but emergency preparedness. I have done disaster drills in 39 states as well. Like I said, I'm considered a subject matter expert. That's why we're here on YouTube. Okay? I've done it. Diane Kelman says, yes, this is my house. My house, my rules. My house, my rules. Yes, I also incorporate YouTube rules here too, because I don't want to be taken down by YouTube. I have been taken down by YouTube in the past, and I prefer it not to happen again. Okay? I just don't want that to happen. Why am I talking about the Pacific Northwest? Because we're going to have a major earthquake here, and it's going to kill a lot of people. There are going to be many, many casualties up and down the entire west coast of North America. That earthquake, even though it's going to start here, it's going to be felt all the way up here into Alaska. All the way up here into Alaska. Okay? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's going to be felt all the way up here into Alaska. It's going to be also felt all the way down here into Mexico. All the way down here into Mexico. Why? Because, folks, the Cascadia subduction zone region is going to transfer the power of the 9.0, 10.0 earthquake from here all the way down here. Some of it might come down the Cascadia subduction zone here, the earthquake fault. Some of that energy could also come down the Juan de Fuca fault, down the Blanco fracture zone, down here, down the Gorda Ridge, down here into the Gorda Escarpment and over here to the San Andreas Fault. Back in 2019, December 23rd, 2019, the professor of geology at Oregon State University, Chris Goldfinger, held a conference over here in San Francisco at Christmas time, December 23rd, 2019. At that conference, he stated that the Cascadia subduction zone would transfer that seismic energy all the way down here to the San Andreas Fault, transferring all that energy all the way down to Mexico, all the way through California, down here through Southern California, and down here into Mexico on the San Andreas Fault, which means all that major energy from here is going to transfer all the way south. There's going to be thousands of casualties up and down the coast, all the way up into Alaska. There's something else that's going to happen though. The last time we had a Cascadia earthquake here, like I said, a major 9 to 10.0 earthquake, we had a tsunami. Within 15 or 20 minutes after the earth quit shaking the first time. Yes, there will be subsequent aftershocks after this major quake. But 15 to 20 minutes after the major quake finishes, water is going to rush away from the shoreline and go out here to sea. When that happens, 15 or 20 minutes after the earthquake hits, there's going to be a massive tsunami that's going to ensue all the way from up here in Alaska, because it's going to transfer here to Alaska and all the way down the coast to Mexico. Meaning Washington, Oregon, and California, and over here into northern Mexico. Why do we know that? It happened. Scientists have proven that it's happened. But it's not just that. The last time we had a Cascadia megathrust earthquake up here in Washington and Oregon area, the tsunami also traveled over here to Japan. The Japanese people kept meticulous records. They kept meticulous records. That is why we know the date and time that the earthquake hit. Okay? The same thing is going to happen again. There's going to be a major tsunami traveling across this great ocean gulf here, all the way over here to Japan. Alaska is going to get hit by the tsunami. Hawaii is probably also going to get hit by the tsunami. Not just one island, but all the islands of Hawaii. This is going to be such a massive tsunami that we may see a tsunami all the way down here into Indonesia and the South Tongan or South Samoa and Tongan Islands, all the way down here to New Zealand. Fact. A major tsunami. How strong is it going to be when it comes down here to the South Pacific? We don't know. But there will be a tsunami extending all over the Pacific Basin. Okay? Incredible. I've been talking about this a lot of years. I was part of the first Cascadia subduction zone earthquake drill. Some of my buddies and I organized this drill together with the National Guard unit, the Joint Task Force. It's called the JITEC or Joint Task Force. encompassing not just the National Guard, but many other factions, including state and local first responders, state police, state troopers, local police, first responders, fire, and paramedics. Fire and paramedics and National Guard troops from Washington and Oregon and Idaho and Utah responded over here into Spokane, Washington for that drill where we discussed the Cascadia subduction zone and what was going to happen. We did it from Spokane. Since then, there's been one other drill. This time, I did not respond to Washington. However, I did a remote part of the drill from my home in Salt Lake City. I was part of it. I have been part of every earthquake, terrorist drill, hurricane drill, literally all over the United States since 2005. Since 2005. This is why that's why they believe that I am a subject matter expert. We've done terrorism drills. We've done earthquake drills. We've done explosions. We've done all kinds of drills throughout the United States. We have even invited Canadians down to Washington here to be part of the Cascadia drill. Why? Because they are also going to be involved here. When that earthquake hits, it's going to be a massive, almost explosion here. Throughout Washington, Oregon, and Canada here. It's going to involve everybody. Literally. Okay? That's what's going on. Now, why are they not talking about other earthquakes here in Washington? All they're talking about here, over by Mount Rainier, just west of Mount Rainier here, we have a 2.0 earthquake here. That is a 2.0 earthquake. But folks, guess what? There's a lot more than that. There are a lot more earthquakes than 2.0 here at Mount Rainier. Down here, just north of Mount St. Helens, a 0.2 microquake. Really? Is that all? No, not at all. Okay? How about this? This is a 1.0 tremor here, southwest of Mount St. Helens. Guess what? This is definitely not the only earthquakes in seismic energy here in Washington and or Oregon. Again, the agency does not want us to know what's going on. They hide information, and I can prove it. I can prove it. I've been proving it for a very long time. Let me show you what information I have in regards to Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Hood. Okay? How about this? This is Mount Rainier Emerald Ridge. Okay? Emerald Ridge. Folks, this is what they call the HHN seismograph. The HHN seismograph. This seismograph that's recording information here is a multi-channel seismograph. 5 different channels here at Mount Rainier. This is the HHN channel. This HHN channel gives us a lot of information about what is going on here at Mount Rainier. Look at these light wavy lines here. Very light wavy lines. Well, guess what? This was yesterday evening at 5 p.m. at the top. Very light wavy lines. Guess what? As of about 4:30 this morning, those light wavy lines began to get heavier and heavier and heavier until this afternoon here, just before 3 p.m. Look at this. We're even showing a 3.0 earthquake here. This heavy swirling lines here is what they call the VLF waves. This is all VLF waves here. These larger VLF waves are caused by a lot of magma coming into the volcano. Magma generates these VLF waves. The heaviest VLF waves cause earthquakes. The heaviest VLF waves cause earthquakes. We're only showing one 3.0 earthquake here this morning, just after 11 a.m. But folks, it's not the only one. It's not the only one. Let me show you something else. Let's go over to Camp Sherman at Mount Rainier. Camp Sherman is over on the northeast side of Mount Rainier. Okay? Right here. This is also after 9:10 p.m. last night. This is like a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake right here. According to the other seismograph, it's showing these very light VLF waves, meaning not much magma coming into the magma chamber. Why would we have this earthquake? Because the agency lies. This seismogram that we're showing you here and all other subsequent seismograms are from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, not the USGS here. Yes, the USGS also has its own seismographs, and they have their own seismograms. I'm showing you seismograms and activity from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. The PNSN comes and is part of the Washington State University Geological System. That is who owns the PNSN, Washington State University. They are also not being truthful exactly what's going on. Otherwise, what generated this earthquake here? This seismic energy here are tremors. Yes, tremors would have been resultant from the light magma activity last night. But this earthquake had to be caused by a lot of magma, rock fracturing magma. Magma coming in under pressure into Mount Rainier to cause this 3.0 earthquake here. What's this signal here? This sideways rectangle is called a magma churn signal. A magma churn signal. Magma churn signals typically have to be 23 to 24 lines high. Let's find out how high these lines go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines high. This seismogram that we're looking at here is only 30% true. It's only 30% of real world, meaning the other 65% they're not showing. They're not showing the other 65% of real world. Meaning this earthquake may have been larger than a 3.0. Probably a 3.5 or larger earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. This could have been much larger than that. Out here to the right of this magma churn signal, what are these lines here? These lines are steam signals. Steam signals. Why? Why? Because 6 to 7% of all magma is water. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. Why am I talking about it? Folks, I want to show you what's going on. Okay? When magma is coming into the volcano, it's coming in from underground, isn't it? Coming in under pressure. That magma is coming up inside the volcano like this. There is a lava plug at the top of every volcano from the last eruption. The lava hardened and cooled off, didn't it? Now, this magma is coming up from underneath inside the volcano and hammering away at this lava plug. Hammering away on it. What's going on? The magma from down here underneath that plug is smacking this lava plug, causing fractures, causing tiny little holes in this lava plug. Those tiny little holes allow steam to escape. That water is under pressure. That water from the magma is under pressure. It's very hot. Anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. That water vapor is under pressure, forced through those tiny fracture holes from the lava plug. What does heat do? I'm going to give you a physics lesson here. That hot vapor, water vapor, is also increasing the size of those holes in that volcanic plug. That's what heat does. It increases the value. It increases the width of those holes, allowing more and more steam to come out from the volcano. That is why everyone around any of these volcanoes that are steaming can see steam coming from the volcano. Okay? That's what happens. It's plain physics. Okay? I can guarantee you that what is going on is science. And the science has increased over the years. Did we know about this 30, 40 years ago? No. I got my degree a long time ago, a lot of years ago. Folks, if I had allowed that degree to just stand without any further education, it would be worthless. I have had to consider going back to school, which I've done. I've also studied a lot ever since then. I've kept up not just with my degree, but with the science behind it. That is why I can explain all this to all of you. Okay? At some point in time, that magma is going to hit that plug and it's going to go bluey. Because all those tiny holes are getting larger and larger every day. And at some point in time, that volcanic plug, that lava plug is going to go bluey. And then that volcano is going to erupt. Okay? It's going to go boof. Okay? But that's not the only one. It's not the only one, guys. Okay? Look here. Okay? Look here. Look at this. This is another earthquake at Mount Rainier. This is a 4.5 earthquake. This earthquake here is a 4.5 earthquake. USGS didn't say anything about it, did they? All they're showing on that map, folks, all they're showing on that map is microquakes. That's all they're showing. Why are they not showing the other earthquakes and other activity? Folks, this here is a microquake. This here is a microquake. Okay? This is a tremor. This is a tremor. That is a tremor. This is probably a 1.6, 1.7 tremor as well. What is this? What is this? This is a vertical line with a whoop-de-doo on it, or curlicue. This is also a steam signature. This is a steam signature. This is showing that Mount Rainier is indeed steaming. If you find a vertical line without a dot in the middle of it, those are steam signatures as well. A vertical line with a dot in it, such as here and up here, these are all considered to be earthquakes and tremors. But the other vertical lines without dots are all steam signatures. This is Mount Rainier, guys. This is Mount Rainier. And again, they are not telling us the truth about what's going on. I just showed you microquakes that they said were happening at Mount Rainier. But I've also showed you the magma churn signals. I've also showed you all of this magma coming into the magma chamber of this volcano. These are called VLF wave lines. VLF wave lines caused by magma coming into the volcano. Okay? What is going on over at Mount St. Helens? Let's take a look. Folks, this is East Dome Mount St. Helens. Yes, we're seeing a lot of tremors. Microquakes and tremors here. This is a steam signal here. This is a tremor signal here. I believe this is to be a 2.0 earthquake here. This is a 2.0 earthquake, as this is as well here. This also is a 2.0 earthquake. Look at this. This is a piece of magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount St. Helens. Look here. We have vertical lines going through this piece of magma here, don't we? Vertical lines caused by magma fracturing rock inside Mount St. Helens. That is why we have tremors and or earthquakes at these volcanoes. Okay? That's what's happening. Let me show you another seismogram coming from Mount St. Helens. This one is called September lobe. The September lobe seismogram is actually a seismograph. The September lobe seismograph is actually a very large box that's heavy, probably 500 to 1,000 pounds apiece, sitting on spindly legs on top of the lava plug at the top of Mount St. Helens. Okay? That is SCP, September lobe here. Here, this seismogram, BDFCC01, is the VLF wave seismogram. Okay? It's recording the magma coming into Mount St. Helens here. Up here, there's very little magma coming in, very light. But this is what happens after 7, 8 o'clock last night. Look at this. Between 9:30 p.m. last night and 3 a.m. this morning, heavy-duty magma. Heavy-duty magma. The magma calmed down for a few hours, but it started up again at 7 a.m. this morning. Heavy-duty magma coming into Mount St. Helens. These are called VLF waves, very low-frequency waves. Okay? That is what happens when magma comes into the volcano under pressure. Now, I showed you one of the other seismograms. It hardly showed any kind of activity. Again, they falsified data on the other seismogram. because they are not showing you all the earthquakes caused by rock fracturing anytime today. Okay? This upper here is late last night. This here, down here, is during the day today. We should have seen a lot more seismic energy going into Mount St. Helens as a result of the magma activity forcing its way into Mount St. Helens. They are not showing us all of the activity at all. Zero. Look at this. This is also one of the other channels at September lobe on that seismograph. On the seismograph, I should say. This graph is called a seismogram. The seismograph is the machine that records this information. This is a little bit different from the other one, isn't it? We're actually seeing earthquakes. But the problem is this. We are not showing very large earthquakes at all. Look at this. This is the same time period last night where we should see a lot more earthquakes here. A lot stronger earthquakes. That's because they've turned down the activity on the seismograph. They've turned down the seismograph. We may be only seeing 25 to 27% of real world. Meaning this earthquake that looks to be about a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake, minor earthquake, is probably actually a 3.5, 4.0 here at Mount St. Helens. Again, all they were showing on the USGS map was one tiny microquake and one 1.0 tremor. Yes, we do have tremors here. Yes, we do have tremors all over here. But folks, they are lying about it. They have scrubbed the other earthquakes here. They have scrubbed the earthquakes. They're not being honest about what's going on. This shows here maybe to be a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. But again, I just showed you the other seismogram showing you a lot of activity. This is probably a 4.0 earthquake. This is probably a 4.0 earthquake. They have been lying through their teeth. They do not want us to know what's going on. I've shown you this. Showing you the VLF wave activity is proof positive that what they're showing us on the other seismograms is garbage, trash. Let's go down and look at Mount Hood south of Mount St. Helens in Oregon, northern Oregon. Look at this, guys. This is Palmer Lift. Palmer Lift. The BHN channel. In this particular case, this seismograph is recording the BHN channel as VLF wave activity. Yes, you see light magma coming into the volcano here and all the way down here. It gets a little bit busier here, doesn't it? But here, guess what? We're actually seeing seismic activity, earthquakes and tremors hitting Mount Hood. This is the kind of activity we used to see every day at Mount Hood before they started playing with the seismograph. This is the kind of activity we would normally see at Mount Hood and all the other volcanoes before they started playing with the seismographs and either turning the seismographs off or turning them down. They are not being honest with us whatsoever. There is activity at Mount Hood. Yes, we've seen light activity here, but down here it started increasing, didn't it? And we're actually seeing earthquakes and tremors here. A lot of them. But folks, it's not the only one. It's not the only one. Let me show you timberline on the south side of Mount Hood. This timberline seismograph is located down at the bottom of Mount Hood on the same side as Palmer Lift. Okay, this is what we're showing. Look at all this activity. Tremors. Magma coming into the magma chamber here. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming in. It's called magma pulse signals or pulse magma signals. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber. The thinner the lines, the less magma. But you see these vertical lines here coming out of the magma here? The magma is fracturing rock inside the volcano here. That's what's going on here. Every time you see more magma here, you see these vertical lines. Rock fracturing because of the magma. The same thing here. This is an actual earthquake. On that, we don't know how far the scientists have turned down the seismograph. We can only guess that this earthquake here is at least a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Look where it's coming from. Magma coming into the magma chamber, fracturing rock inside the volcano, causing these earthquakes, earth movement. The same thing here, the same thing here, the same thing here. Fracturing the rock, causing earth movement. Look at all this magma here. Look at all this magma here. It gets less and less here. It increases some here and gets less and less here, all the way over here until it gets over here, and all of a sudden we're seeing another earthquake here. Okay? Mount Hood is busy. Mount Hood is busy. It's not as busy as Mount Rainier or Mount St. Helens. Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens is getting ready to erupt. Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are getting ready to erupt. Plain and simple. Is the USGS going to tell us what's going on? No. They're not going to tell us about it until it's too late, until after the volcano erupts. This is why we want to take a look at the seismographs. That way we know what's going on. That way we know what's going on, because the agency's not going to tell us. They never will tell us. They're not going to give us notice to evacuate any of the cities and towns around any of these volcanoes. They're going to let the volcano erupt and not give anybody time enough to evacuate. Plain and simple. What are they going to do when the Cascadia megathrust earthquake goes? They don't care. There are millions of people up and down the entire coast of Canada, Alaska, Washington, Oregon, and California. Millions and millions of people live over on the coast of North America. And yet, they don't care. Millions of people live here. And the scientists know what's going to happen. And yet they're not talking. And they're hiding the information. They're hiding the information. Oh, just showing microquakes here. That's all they want to show. I just got through showing you that these volcanoes are churning out large earthquakes that is going to cause these volcanoes to erupt. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Do any of you have any questions for me? I've spoken over an hour now. Close to 2 hours. Do you guys have any questions about anything I've talked about? At the end of the program, I try to give you guys opportunity to question me about what's going on, to see if I can find an answer or give you an answer about what's going on. Okay? Richard Smith is here in the chat saying trying times are about to befall humanity. Oh yeah, big time. Big time. My buddy Don Patoka is one of my mods here, is in the chat tonight. And I love Don. He's a very dear friend of mine. He's here saying, knowledge amid information is power. Knowledge amid information is power when traveling the adventures of life. Only when well-considered and executed plans of action are employed will there be success to prevail. The choice is yours. Because the agencies and the authorities are not going to give us a choice. We are going to be thrown into this quagmire and have to find our way out of it. That's the truth. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Richard Smith just said in the chat he can't wait to get together with me here on this program. Richard, that can happen maybe tomorrow. I hope. I hope. I would love to have Richard as a guest on this channel. He and I have already discussed some of the things we want to talk about, and probably a lot more. Diane Kilman is asking, any new happenings on the New Madrid? I talked about the New Madrid fault when we first started on the program today. Folks, there are 4.0, 4.5 moderate earthquakes up and down the entire New Madrid fault, north to south. If you guys want to know what's going on, go back to the beginning of this program where I showed you seismographs. Or not seismographs, I showed you the seismograms, showing you the actual activity. USGS today only showed one earthquake near the New Madrid fault, on the east side of the New Madrid fault. One earthquake, a 3.8 earthquake. And as you saw on the seismographs tonight, on the seismograms I should say, guess what? There is a lot more activity on the New Madrid fault. Plain and simple. Again, they do not want to be honest with any of us. Ridgely, Tennessee, they showed us on the map a 3.8 earthquake. Folks, it was probably closer to a 4.5 earthquake. Probably closer to a 4.5 earthquake. So again, they lied to us. They absolutely lied to us. And folks, guess what? They are also showing on the map a whole slew of earthquakes. They're showing other earthquakes here, around that area. A 2.0 and a 1.6. Folks, I showed you the seismograph, or showing you the seismogram, showing you a lot more earthquakes than that. Yes, there were tremors, but there were also a lot of other earthquakes. The largest being over 4.5, and they called that a 3.8. They're full of crap. They're full of crap. The New Madrid fault is going to pop. I can guarantee you. Over in the area of Arkansas, over on the area of Arkansas, on the west side of the New Madrid fault, across from Memphis, Cotton Plant, Arkansas. The USGS is telling us that today, early this morning at 1:30 this morning, there was a 1.9, 2.0 earthquake at Cotton Plant, Arkansas. Not that far from Little Rock. Guess what? They're showing a 1.9. I showed you 3.0 earthquakes at Little River, Little Rock, Arkansas. Again, they're not showing us that. They would have us to believe that nothing's happening on that fault zone. As I said earlier, there's going to be a large to very strong 5.0 to 7.0 or larger earthquake coming in the next 4 to 5 years. It could happen within the next 2 years. Considering the changes happening now on the Pneumatic Fault, we could have a major earthquake on the Pneumatic Fault within the next 1 to 2 years. I don't give it past 5 years. And I don't give the Cascadia subduction zone any more than 10 years, even though scientists are saying, oh, it's only going to be 25 years or longer. I call BS. I call BS. They're not showing even a third of the earthquakes. I don't believe they're even showing a tenth of the earthquakes happening all the way around the Pneumatic Fault, the Cascadia subduction zone, or anywhere else. They're not being honest about it. They can't. The politicians won't allow it. The politicians are calling the shots. Plain and simple. Aubrey, who used to live in Washington, is here in the chat. She says, I'm concerned about the steaming at Mount Rainier. It often gets a cloud cover toward the top of the mountain. If they're not reporting the activity, the natives won't notice anything until the ash cloud starts to release. That's exactly what's going to happen. That is exactly what's going to happen. At the time the Cascadia megathrust earthquake happened, some 340 plus years ago, there was a mariner, there was a ship off the coast of Washington. He said he thought that Glacier Peak or Mount Rainier was erupting at the time. So there's probably also going to be at least 1 or 2 volcanoes erupting when this earthquake hits. Okay? That's what's going to happen. Diane is asking a question here in the chat, how can they sleep at night? I don't know. I can't sleep at night when things are happening to my kids, or my wife, or dear friends of mine. I have lost a lot of sleep during the past few days because of family issues with my kids. I don't know how these agents from the USGS can even function, or the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. How can they function when they know it's going to happen? Okay? Demon Kevin says they hope to sound the alarm in time. That's why when Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980, that there were people killed. USGS a week prior to that evacuated the mountain. Earthquakes started calming down, so they let people back in, and because of that, people were killed at Mount St. Helens. USGS doesn't give a darn. They just don't. They don't give a flying rat's frosty keister. Okay? It's going down. Things are happening all around the world. We're seeing earthquakes for the first time in England. It used to be nobody even gave a hoot about any earthquakes we never saw in England. We never saw earthquakes in Scandinavia. I used to live there. Now earthquakes are hitting. Earthquakes are hitting. Aubrey's saying there's about 500,000 residents below Mount Rainier. I believe that's closer to 1 million people. I believe there's close to 1 million people in and around Mount Rainier. Okay? It's crazy. We've been watching this for years now, guys. We've been watching it for a long time. They don't care. 23 Angels Sci-Fi is talking about something else. Please, I only want us to keep the ideas in chat that we're already talking about. Yes, that's important. What this lady said was important, but I'm not going to even repeat it right now. I don't want to get started into another conversation at this point in time. It's too late. Maybe tomorrow we can talk about it for a little while. Tomorrow's Friday. On Friday evenings we talk about earthquakes, we talk about solar flares, but the primary discussion is about emergency preparedness. That's what I want to keep Fridays for. Emergency preparedness. If anybody's been worried about solar flares are still happening. Solar flares are still happening. They're going to continue to happen. So far, we've not had any major solar flares in the last 24 hours. We've had some minor kick-ups, but we've not had anything X5 or larger. We've gotten lucky. We've gotten lucky. Sunspot 3465, it's 3465, is now on the backside of the sun, and it will be traversing through space for about 2 weeks. Then we're going to see it reappear over on the eastern side of the sun. Right now we have other sunspots that are also putting out CMEs, coronal mass ejections. We will keep you up to date with what's going on. As things happen, we'll talk about it. I promise. I'm not going to let it go. People's lives are in danger. People's lives hang in the balance. Okay? Diane Kellen says, get your pen and paper ready to take notes tomorrow. Please do that. Please do that. I would be most grateful to know that all of you are taking notes about what we're talking about. Why? Because your lives hang in the balance. Your lives hang in the balance. In order for you to understand what's going on, you need to tune in here. Every day we talk about earthquakes and all kinds of other things. When I first started this program, we were talking mostly about earthquakes, and that was it. I've expanded that because we've had other things happen. Large explosions, oil refinery explosions. We've had train derailments pouring toxic chemicals into the ground and causing huge, huge explosions. And massive amounts of toxic chemicals going into the air, polluting and killing people. We don't hear too much anymore as of late about train derailments, but they're happening every day. We're just not being told about it now. Okay? Yes, the Hadron Collider is operational now in Switzerland. We also have one in the United States that's a lot smaller. Okay? And yet it might also be responsible for some of the solar flares that we saw this past weekend. Unreal. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. My buddy Cowboy Roy Rogers is here. I appreciate him as well. I post the videos that we do on his channel. Okay? I post it on Facebook. I also post it over on MeWe. Yes, there's a social media called MeWe. It's actually better than Facebook. It doesn't have all the rules and silly stuff that Facebook has. Because Facebook is being shouted down by the politicians. The politicians rule Facebook and tell Facebook and Mr. Zuckerberg and his stupid crowd, all of his fact checkers, not to let anybody talk about anything significant. Or they'll go bye-bye into Facebook jail. I don't buy it. People are going to die because the politicians are ruling here. They're telling Zuckerberg and all these other people where to stick it, where to stick us. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not. I'm not going to buy into their crap. Not going to happen. And I would say the same thing to you all. Don't buy into their crap. Listen to what we're talking about and get prepared. Listen to what we're talking about and be prepared. You'll be better off for doing that. I promise you. I promise you. I want to take you over now, the end of our program. We usually have a devotional. I'm going to give us a devotional now. I want to take you over to St. John, chapter 20. I want to take you down to verse 1, 2, and 3. The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, into the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Then she runneth and cometh to Simon Peter, and to the other disciple, whom Jesus loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Mary was angry. Mary was worried that they took Jesus Christ out of the sepulchre. Her son. Peter therefore went forth, and the other disciple, and came to the sepulchre. So they both ran together. And the other disciple did outrun Peter, and came first to the sepulchre. And he, stooping down and looked in, saw the linen clothes lying yet when he was not yet in. Then Simon Peter, following him, and went into the sepulchre, and seeth the linen clothes lie, the napkin that was about his head, not lying with the linen clothes, but wrapped together in a place by itself. Then went in also that of other disciple, which came first to the sepulchre, and he saw and believed. For as yet they knew not the scripture, that he must rise again from the dead. Then the disciples went again unto their own home. But Mary stood without the sepulchre weeping. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre. And see, two angels in white, sitting, the one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. And they say unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? She saith unto them, Because they have taken away my Lord, and I know not where they have laid him. Can you imagine the sheer agony that Mary Magdalene had gone through that day? Can you imagine the anger and the sheer magnitude of that situation? And when she had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Jesus standing, and knew not that it was Jesus. And Jesus saith unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? Whom thou seekest thou? Whom seekest thou? She, supposing him to be the gardener, said unto him, Sir, if thou have borne him hence, tell me where thou hast laid him, and I will take him away. Jesus said unto her, Mary. She turned herself and saith unto him, Rabboni, which is say, Master. And Jesus saith unto her, Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren, and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. And Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that which she had seen the Lord, that he had spoken these things unto her. Imagine the sheer immensity of that moment with Mary. Faith. Faith. She went from sure terror to happiness once she had realized that who she saw was her own Son, Jesus Christ. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? At some point in time, Jesus Christ is going to return to the earth, and we are going to be caught up to meet him. I cannot wait for the day. Honestly, I cannot wait for the day where I will be able to kneel at his feet and feel his hands and know that the hole that had been in his hands is where the nails had been in Jesus Christ's hands. And I will not know any more than I know now that Jesus Christ is the Savior of the world. I look forward in the coming days, years, whatever it is, to seeing Jesus Christ, to be with you in that great populace of people that ushers in the second coming of Jesus Christ. I look forward to that day. I want to thank everyone who's been here in our program tonight. I want to thank everyone who continues to make sure Emergency Management Associates stays here on the air. I appreciate and love each and every one of you. Diane, I showed your beautiful card earlier. Again, Diane sent me a beautiful card and sent us a donation, which I greatly appreciate. Again, I want to thank everybody who does that. I am no longer in Valdez, I'm in Morganton, North Carolina. I set up a post office box at the mailboxes, etc. 104 North Green Street, Morganton, North Carolina, Box 105. 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina, zip code is 28655. We also have 2 PayPal locations and a Cash App where you can also send us cash donations. We appreciate that very much. Like I said, it helps keep this program on the air. It helps pay these bills. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I cannot wait to see you and be with you that day. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. May God be with you until we see you again. We will be back on the air tonight if anything else happens of significance as soon as the information becomes available. Other than that, we'll be back here tomorrow evening sometime after 6 p.m. with more Emergency Management Associates, talking about earthquakes and all other kinds of emergencies and disasters, including emergency preparedness. Bring pen and paper here to take notes. I love you all. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Thank you all for being here. See you. Good night.